Welcome to Sports, Wheels, and Reels with Jeff Miller and Austin Horton. One show, two guys, three topics, unlimited possibilities. Presented by Mark Miller Subaru. Engage with us on social media or email us at podcast@mmsubaru.com. And now, welcome your hosts, Jeff Miller and Austin Horton.
All right, time for sports, Jeff.
Sports!
The Jazz. Everyone is in love with their draft.
Everyone loves
Every
their draft.
pundit said the Jazz are the one to look at for the draft.
And the Jazz basically came out and said that they got their 9, 10, and 18 guy on their board.
They sure, they did say that. Do you believe them?
I think the Hendricks pick for sure was there. I think the George was rated high too. I think those two. I don't know enough about what's his name? Sensabaugh. I don't know enough about him to know if he really could have been 18 on their board.
Yeah.
But they obviously didn't like Cam Whitmore.
Nobody did.
Nobody. So here's the rumor on it is, I read some interesting article about why he fell so far, and their talk is that he didn't work out for anybody after 9 in the draft. The Jazz were the last person he worked out for.
Oh, really?
And so all the other teams, so then like medical scares come up, and all the other teams from 10 to 18, 10 to 19 are like,
haven't seen him in person.
I have no idea who this guy is. We've never seen him in person. They didn't get a chance to look at him with their own doctors. They didn't look at anything. So they're like, we're not taking that shot.
Yeah.
And so then the Rockets came back up at 20, and they'd looked at him before, and so they took the hit.
Wow.
But that's why you work out for everybody. Because
nobody.
Yeah.
Everybody or nobody.
Because you never know.
Yeah.
Like, you work out for everybody.
Because the medical scares came up at other workouts.
And you never know that if you work out for someone, have a good enough workout, who's going to trade up to get you. Like, it's such a dumb move by an agent to not work out for everybody. But whatever.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe Whitmore's a player. Maybe he's not. We're going to find out.
I think he will be. I think he's going to be one of those. But I like Taylor Hendricks.
I like Taylor Hendricks.
Taylor
Hendricks, of the three rookies, he's probably the one that cracks the rotation this year.
He should. If he's not, I don't think he's starting.
No.
But he
especially
should
now,
be playing.
especially with the big trade this week.
The big trade, where they
traded nothing.
Well, they made that trade a year ago.
That was part of the Laker trade to get the cap space was to make this trade.
They got Russell Westbrook. They let him walk, and that created all this space. And they then made the trade for John Collins, for Rudy Gay, who
was never going to play anymore. They were trying anybody in the world to take him.
And a future second.
2027 second round
pick. Which is
pick.
literally less than cash. That trade's less than cash these
Although,
days.
Did you see the Lakers second round trade up?
No.
There was the Lakers traded up from 47 to 40 in the second round this year and paid $4 million to do it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what I mean. Cash speaks
Yeah,
louder than
crazy, right?
second round
Yeah, totally.
picks.
So,
remember when the draft was 4 rounds?
do you like Collins?
John Collins. I loved him before all of the health problems last year. We talked before on the show about, I got a soft spot for Layton right here. And if you haven't heard, you've been in a coma. He was born in Layton.
His mom was stationed at Hill.
But I'm a little worried about his health. I'm not worried about his skills. I'm not worried about his fit.
If he can stay healthy,
yeah.
I think Will Hardy uses him a lot better than he was being used in Atlanta.
Yes.
He gets back to that going to the rim and not just sitting the three-point line bombing. Because if you look at his shooting splits, he went completely away from this attacking slasher to this sitting on the three-point line shooting threes because they didn't need him to do that because they had Trae Young.
Yeah.
But the Jazz are going to need him to be what Markkanen is, a slasher to the rim who shoots the occasional three.
Yeah, the opportunity should be a lot better for him.
That front line is going to be massive.
So let's go, and now with the news that Jordan Clarkson has opted in, which, by the way, shocked.
I think you're going to hear after free agency that they've already agreed to an extension for him.
You think so?
I think that they've got a 3-year, 4-year extension. My guess is if they don't hit it in the free agency, they're going to do a front-loaded extension on Clarkson.
Okay.
So something to the tune of, say, like 4 for $80, starting 24 down to 16 at the end.
Okay. Well, maybe.
Right?
Maybe that was their move.
Use their cap space now, get him at the end of his contract at a cheaper number when he's – but you think about it right now, 30 to 34, he doesn't rely on athleticism, right? His game works to play into his mid-30s.
Yes, and works in competitive or when you're down 30. He's going to be a baller.
Yeah.
He's the same every single night.
I love him as our starting two guard.
And he is going to be the starter.
Yes.
He has to be.
He will be the starting 2 guard. Who starts at point?
So let's Kessler. You've got Kessler at the
Collins,
center.
Markkanen at 3.
Markkanen, Clarkson, and I'm guessing if what you've just said plays out, that Clarkson used all the cap space. Well, was their big free agent grab. Then I believe it's Taylor Horton Tucker. You think it's Colin Sexton?
No, I think I like the THT, and I like the Colin Sexton as the change of pace off the bench. So you bring in Sexton and Lineker first 2 off the bench.
There's talk, by the way, right now of the Jazz moving Olynyk.
Don't know
After,
about it.
that's
Olynyk's a steal. Olynyk's
Yeah,
like,
he's a great
as
backup
you
center.
talk, he's probably one of the best backup centers in the NBA now.
yeah. As far as consistency goes, to count on someone,
I mean, so so then the rest of your lineup, your other 2 of your 9 is going to be Agbaji and Hendricks, maybe?
Hendricks has to be in the 7. You don't get a 9th pick.
Well, you're past the 7 at that point. Now you're at 8 or 9.
Oh, what are we talking about?
So you're 7 or
Olynyk was
Sexton
6.
and Olynyk, or 6 and 7.
I would play Hendricks over Sexton.
You need the guard, though.
Nah.
you need a backup guard.
Nah.
You can't just have the guards play 48 minutes.
Sure. Are you paid well or not?
Right, and then your 7 and 8 big mans are going to be your big men coming in are going to be Hendricks and Olynyk.
And they let Doak Azubuike's gone. He's with the Celtics.
By the way, there's controversy on that. I don't think the Jazz have such a good relationship with the Celtics. It's not going to become anything. But technically,
He's not supposed
Azubuike
to
is
be.
still a player on the Jazz until tomorrow.
Yeah, except I'll bet you anything. Danny Ainge said we're not.
Oh, without question.
We're done with
But
him. Yeah.
but by NBA tampering rules, by the book, the Celtics putting him on their summer league roster is tampering.
Let's go. Let's get him back for how the Hayward thing went down. Oh wait, we're paying the guy that did that already.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
But that's technically the rule.
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to
Rule schmool.
that's
No
not
one
it, because
cares.
no one really cares about having.
Even Adam Silver's like, huh?
No one really
Oh,
cares
that
having
thing?
Doak
Crap.
on the team.
I'm worried about
Juzang
suspending Joe Morant.
signed Juzang back on the 2-way.
Yeah. Now, if Hendricks plays with the Stars, it was a bust?
No,
Oh. I think it will be.
Gobert played half a season for the Stars and became an All-Star.
They had
I get it,
people and coaching turmoil, and
but
I think he needs to be playing every night.
I would
with
hope
the
he's.
Jazz.
I hope he's in the rotation.
Yeah.
I think you got to get George and you got to get Sensabaugh some time with the Stars. So that's the beauty of having the Stars in town, is that you can send them day to day, right? You
Yeah.
Go play a game and be back at practice the next day.
If he sits for a long time, then yeah, go get him some run. But the Sensabaugh and the Keontae George should play for the Stars a lot.
I mean, I think if the Jazz could get a deal for Sexton and bring in a facilitating point guard, a Tyus Jones, a player like that, I think that would be the difference between. I think this Jazz team, as constituted, is a 40 to 45 win team.
Do you think so?
I think if you could bring in a facilitating point guard,
45
they're
wins,
a
yeah.
45 to 50 win team.
Okay, yeah.
That's a 5 seed.
Wow, that's the ceiling, I think. 5
I think
seed,
if
yeah.
they can bring in a facilitator.
Yeah,
But they're a 5 seed that just gets nothing but better over the next 2 years
which is
with the exact same core.
I think if
I
they're
think
in
they're
the
a five,
playoffs this
I
year,
think
it's
if they
good.
could get to a 5-6 seed this year, you're talking about ready for the next year to jump to that 3-2 seed with the same players.
So let's talk this: the ceiling, 5 seed.
I think
What's the acceptable basement?
if the lineup stays as is,
Yeah,
Vegas over under will be 38.
I'll go over them. I will.
But that would be my bet on what Vegas will put the over under at.
I think
the ceiling on this team is about 46, 47 wins.
Okay,
I think the basement on this team, there's injuries, you never know what happens.
sure.
But I think the average is somewhere in that 40 to 45.
Is it absurd for me to demand that they are in the top 8 of the Western Conference, or it was a failure? Is that absurd?
I think top 10. I think if they get in the
Well,
playing
yeah.
game. I think getting.
Yeah.
I think that this team,
That's
as
not a real
constituted,
playoff
and
team.
what they're shooting right now is to get in the playoff game. But if you look at last season, the difference between the 10 seed and the 5 seed was 2 games.
I know. And the 8th seed in the East was in the finals.
Totally.
So, yeah.
And the Lakers were the 7 seed going in and made it to the Western Conference Finals, right?
But it feels a little hollow when you're the 10th team with a losing record in the playoffs.
I don't think they'll have a losing record.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that they're not. This team was never built. Even last year's team was never built to tank. They were built to play as hard as they could and win as many games as possible. Then they traded off their entire veteran core after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
And then sat a bunch of people. Clarkson sat the second half of the season. That's where it got worrisome on Clarkson. Is like when they sat in the whole second half, I was like, is he going to be around next year?
Does he want to do this? Yeah.
But I mean, he's got great. He owns a house here. His brother is like a very well-known DJ downtown.
Yeah.
He's got a great personal
Channel
relationship.
2 News crew now knows
They
him.
actually know who he is. The best interview in the history of the NBA.
How do you spell that?
How do you spell
Have you
that?
seen any
You
Jazz
seen any
games?
Jazz? Yeah, I went to a bunch.
Which, by the way, I loved Clarkson before then. I adore him after
It was the greatest interview ever.
Because he wasn't like, bruh, I play on the team.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, we
He
just
just
a ton of games.
Let them think I'm a dude. And you could see it glisten in his eyes like, yeah,
What does
I'm a normal person for a minute.
What does Kessler put up in a full season this year?
30, 20, 10. I think he averages 2.5 blocks a game, which is crazy, but I think that's legit. If he is rebounding 8+ and scoring 10+, then that's fine. But I think it's more like 12, 13 points a game.
I was going to say 13-10.
Yeah, okay. That double-digit rebound is hard, but I said 2.5 blocks, so why not go with 10 rebounds?
I think 13-10, 13-9. I think that would be a successful second season for him.
Yeah.
Question 2 now. So you're putting John Collins. You're putting Collins in a Markkanen type situation.
Yes.
Right, where he was in a bad situation, kind of injuries, everything like that, coming into the Jazz. Does he have a chance at most improved? Do you think he could have that kind of season?
Well, I think so.
Are there shots there for him?
I think he'll qualify. I think he'll be in that conversation. I think if he was going to win it.
This is the best situation he could be in.
Yeah, well, he won it last year.
No, I'm not talking Markkanen. I'm talking about Collins.
Oh, I was like.
So I'm talking about taking Collins from a similar
Can
situation.
you be
Markkanen.
most improved 2 years in a row is what I'm thinking.
But like I think, so Markkanen, you're basically taking Collins from a very similar situation that Markkanen was. They were actually in the same draft class.
Ooh, that's interesting.
They're the same draft class too.
That is interesting. Yeah, he
Right?
could be.
He is a prime candidate for having a breakout season and getting that award.
What is more likely, that or Will Hardy Coach of the Year?
Well, I mean, if the Jazz do this and they get to a 48, 49 win, he's got to be in the conversation.
Yeah, but then that means he's fired in the next 3 years.
You're wrong.
No, that's just history. That's the last, I think.
All the coaches of the years have been fired.
16 coaches of the year lasted no longer than 3 seasons.
It's so funny.
Unbelievable.
But
Yeah, but the Jazz have never had Coach of the Year.
no, but I mean, the cool thing about it is I don't think you've lost any of the culture. I think this team's going to come back next year with the same kind of fun, laid-back culture that's going to be really entertaining to watch. It's going to be a fun Jazz season.
And I'll say this, and then maybe we can move on. But I think Will Hardy is the best acquisition the Jazz have had in the last 10 years.
I couldn't agree more. And he's a
Since they traded Donovan.
great human being, great coach, smart. I'm not just saying that because he's my neighbor.
Honk.
But Will's awesome. Now, Will's a great dude.
All right, and you will miss Udoka Azubuike.
I will not miss him.
I miss him already.
Least bit. Who else will not be on the team from last year?
They had his initials. Sarah Todd tweeted out his initials, and
Juan Toscana Anderson will be gone.
that was it. JTA is what.
JTA,
I don't know who.
John Toscana Anderson, he'll be gone.
Simone Fontecchio.
Chris Dunn's under contract still, so is
That's
he going to be in
awesome.
the? Will he be in the rotation?
Will he be the starting?
Will he
point
be in the
guard?
rotation? Could he be the starting point guard over THT? But THT is not going to opt back in not to be the starter.
No, maybe.
Not to play though.
Oh yeah. THT will be the starter or the sixth. Well, Olynyk will be the sixth guy, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is you get to the season, you end up going 12 deep, and by the time you get injuries and people play, they've got, here's the interesting thing. They've got
Fontecchio is probably gone.
Fontecchio's still in the roster for 2 more years.
Oh yeah, I
They
forgot
signed him
about
for a 3-year
that.
deal.
I forgot about that.
So Fontecchio's got to get in the rotation too.
Yeah. Or not.
And what about Samanek?
Salmonet?
The guy from San Antonio?
Yeah. Yeah. They've got fillers that are better than traditional fillers.
They're very deep in average NBA players.
Yeah, that's well said. And they have burgeoning stars.
What you got to understand is that average NBA players are still awesome basketball players.
Yeah.
Like if you make an NBA roster, you got to understand you are very, very good at basketball.
The minimum pay now is just under $1 million a season.
Yeah. So
or just over $1 million a season.
You've got guys that can come in and score 15 points that are sitting 14th, 15th on people's benches.
As long as they stay ready, which is really hard to do.
The Jazz are pretty deep. I mean, you never know.
And
You never know if there's more action happening. You know what the crazy part about this is? Free agent hasn't even opened yet.
yeah,
Free
in
agency
earnest.
opens tomorrow.
Yeah. And, well, think about the draft capital the Jazz still own in the coming years.
Do you think Lillard's gone?
I'm surprised.
Do you think he is on their roster day one, Portland's?
For his sake, I hope not. But he's in a spot where they got to find someone that will take him with that money, with his age, and think that is their missing piece to win it all. And Chris Paul's already with the Warriors.
Sexton, Agbaji, 4 first-round picks.
Done.
Do you give it up
Done.
for the Jazz?
Yeah.
How many wins does that put the Jazz at?
It better be 55 and over.
Do you think that's a 55-win team?
I don't, but I make that move
'Cause
100 times out of 100.
But
That's a win.
I think Portland would take that a deal like that.
Yeah, why wouldn't they? That's 4 first-round picks is nuts.
Yeah.
This is why I'm here and not running a Jazz.
You give up a Sexton, you give up an Agbaji. And
It's ill-advised, but I would do it. 4 first
You're going all in.
That is mortgaging the next 15 years.
So at that point, you're starting Lillard, Clarkson, Markkanen, Collins, and Kessler. With Olynyk, THT. Who else is where you still have?
Samanich,
Samanich.
Fontecchio,
Fontecchio.
Sensabaugh, and Keontae George.
We got all the. Oh, you still have Hendricks.
And Hendricks, of course, yeah.
That's a pretty good team.
I don't think Lillard would like that. I think Lillard wants to
Is that
find himself
is
with
that a
somebody.
contending team?
Yes, but
I mean, it's what we've always argued. We've always argued in the show is that's a top 4 team in the West.
yeah, I think it's a top
And
5 team in the league.
If you're a top 4 team in the West, top 5 team in
Yeah.
the West, you're a contender. Things go the right way. Injuries hit. You never know what happens.
Yeah.
You're in a chance to win a championship.
How about, though, this news with James Harden becoming available? Do you think he and Lillard are trying to hook up someplace?
I would not want Harden at all. Did you hear that? Because
Yes.
you heard what happened in Houston.
Yes.
So what's his name does an interview with Paul George. I was like, could be good, could be bad. It's like, oh god. Yeah, Harden's gonna love that.
By the way, good luck to your baseball team.
Yeah, by the Crown Colony. We're playing in the semifinals of the state baseball tournament for 10 and under baseball. So today against Taylorsville, big game, 5:30.
Let's go.
Down
Let's
in
go.
Murray Grant Park. Be there. It's gonna be a big crowd.
Cheer for the name Miller
Miller and Brown.
and Brown.
And Brown. Stepson
Miller
Brett
and Brown.
Caden's in there too.
Yeah, so go
It'll
team.
be a big game. If
Go
we win
team
that,
win.
we play in the championship tomorrow morning. So the championship means then you go to regionals, which regionals are in Utah this year. And then if you win regionals, you go to the Little League World Series in Indiana.
In Indiana, because it's not the
'Cause it's not the 12-year-old
12-year-olds,
one.
yeah. Which, yeah, great.
Which would be pretty cool.
Let's go. Let's
So
do
that's
it.
a lot of wins.
All
That's
right.
a lot of really good teams.
Coming up next in Wheels. Flying cars. It's happening. Stay tuned.
I'm Spencer Kofed, and my Subaru is Extreme Adventure. Outback's really great for my lifestyle. It has just enough space for all my gear, but it's not crazy big of a footprint. If any of my friends were looking to buy a Subaru, I'd recommend Mark Miller Subaru, so you never feel like they're hiding stuff from you. Whether it's skiing, skydiving, mountain bikes, surfing, my Subaru gets me out on my adventures. Subaru is a brand I trust, and Mark Miller Subaru is the Utah retailer that I love.
All right, time for Wheels. Jeff Miller. We've talked about this for, God, we've been doing a show together for 8+ years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
But who's counting? Jeff's like, it feels like 80. But we've been talking about flying cars because it piques the ear when it comes up.
And it's still
The whole year.
Such a
Or
horrible
the whole
idea.
time
It's
we've
just
been
a
together.
horrible idea.
Well, horrible idea or not,
I
it has
can't
not stopped
imagine-
history.
Any time this is going to be a good decision.
They changed the recipe for Coca-Cola once upon a time.
And it didn't work.
Bad ideas have no
But
limit.
Drivers are so bad. Until they can get the cars to
Especially
drive
here.
themselves, then you can maybe have them fly
Well,
themselves.
airplanes already fly themselves.
Basically.
Yeah.
But do you know how much training it takes to be a pilot?
Just because we're all worried about, like, honestly,
Killing people.
well, that, but also the plane will fly. if you don't need 1,500 hours to fly a plane. You need 15 hours
You
to fly a plane.
absolutely need 1,500 hours to fly a plane.
Agree to disagree.
Because guess what? What happens when that magical autopilot all of a sudden stops working and you're
You
at
die.
33,000
You
feet?
die, and you
You
die in
die.
glory, and you
With
die.
all 190
you
souls
die-
behind you.
You die doing something the pioneers never dreamed possible.
Well, speaking of pilot training, they just announced Delta just building a new pilot training center in
I
Salt
saw
Lake
that.
City, which is pretty cool news.
I saw that my friend who's
I
been
showed it
on
to my boy because my boy Caden wants to be a Delta pilot. Like if
Oh,
you ask him
nice.
what he wants to do in life, he was like, I want to be a Delta pilot.
It's not a bad
Specifically
career.
Delta.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to be a Delta airline pilot.
Why?
He loves Delta,
Oh, okay.
which I don't blame him.
See, I came.
Delta's the best.
I came from a different.
Delta. You know
Brought to you
what?
by Delta.
So I'm going on a trip. I'm taking Deanna to Vegas for her birthday tomorrow.
Going to
and
church?
guess what I hit on that trip? 1 million miles on Delta.
Oh, do they give you something
Yeah,
special?
I'm gonna be a million miler. They send me like a little plane with my name on it,
A plane?
like a little
Oh,
a little
a
model
model
airplane
plane.
I can put on top of this thing. For the next Wheels and Wheels when I get it, it's gonna be on our thing.
That will be humble.
We'll have it as a show here. It'll be my little model million miler plane.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. It's
I
a lot of effort. That's like 35 years of freaking flyer mileage
Look,
adding up.
if we can let,
I got a freaking flyer card when I was like 6. My parents got me a card.
if we can allow submarines to be powered by rigged out PlayStation 2 paddles, we can let people fly airplanes.
They all died.
Well, science won. How many more missions? No one died. Are we ready to talk about that yet? Because the internet is.
Yeah.
There were jokes all week before it was found out they were dead. And I laughed at a few and went, is it okay? It isn't.
No.
But I did.
It's not okay.
I mean, comedy is tragedy plus time, and there was no tragedy announced yet.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
where does that fall? Gray area. Flying cars. Back to the thing.
Still a bad decision.
Aleph Aeronautics flying car has received legal approval to fly from the government of the US of A.
But where can they actually fly? Like secured land with inside
Inside
a fence. It's allowed to go 20 feet.
Driving ranges only. The FAA is actively working on its policies for electrical vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, as well as governing blah, blah, harumph. But this is the car. It can drive, where does it say? Based in San Mateo, California, flying car is 100% electric, can carry 1 or 2 occupants. It'll cost, any guess on how much it'll cost?
$500,000.
Pretty close, 300,000. Over 300,000.
Affordable.
As it can fly over stop traffic and accidents on roadways, the company says the idea here is that it can go up to 25 miles
It
an
can
hour
fly
on the
over
road.
stuff. So you're in freeway. You just pick yourself up and drive over everybody.
No.
Along with the other people who pick themselves up to run into you as you go. Are there vertical lanes now?
So this car will not go over 25 miles an hour.
Oh dear God.
On the ground. It will only be for those who feel like I can't deal with the LA traffic today. I'm going to take the flying car.
You buy a helicopter.
Yeah, it is essentially
A
a helicopter. Flying cars have existed since the first helicopter.
We can't even make autonomous cars that don't run into things. Stop.
All right.
Stop.
But I thought, Jeff, you'll be in line to buy one, won't you?
No.
No, you're not going to get a pre-order in. They're accepting pre-orders right
No,
now.
I'm good.
Non-refundable $5,000 deposit.
I think we're still working on figuring out cars.
all right.
And we'll quite figured out that yet.
Yeah.
100%.
All right. Well, there you go. At least it's 100% electric.
That's good wheels.
Cool. Loves to Care Month from Subaru wrapping up today. Check it out. MarkMillerSubaru.com. There's a story about a kid that is just incredible. We've had his picture up here on the showroom floor, and it's been a lot of fun working with the leukemia patients up at all the hospitals.
Going and dropping off those blankets was a pretty cool experience.
Very fun. So stay tuned for other things that Subaru loves, and what we do here at Mark Miller Subaru. It makes the job a lot more rewarding when you have a job you like, and then the job does good in the community. Makes you feel like, okay, we're not just selling cars, we're taking care of everyone around us as well. All right, coming up next, we'll talk about a movie franchise that, the star is 80, and the movies should have ended 20 years ago. Next.
My Subaru is safety for my family. Subaru is one of the safest brands, and I've personally lived that. There's no other car I want to drive. Subaru is a brand you can trust, and Mark Miller Subaru is the local Utah retailer that you will love.
All right, Jeff, not a long Reels segment.
We got one movie to talk about. The
It-
best franchise ever.
Indiana Jones
Yes.
5,
Which is amazing.
Dial of Destiny is the name.
They're all good. And you
It is
disagree
starring
with me.
Harrison Ford.
So you told me of the 4 of them so far. You only like 2. So
That's
I,
right.
I'll guess.
There's been 2 worth your time out of 4.
So the Skull one, the last one.
Vomit.
So the only 2 you like were Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade.
Yeah. Didn't care for Temple of Doom.
How'd you not like Temple of Doom? What was wrong with Temple of Doom?
Okay, first of all, there's bullets flying and mayhem happening and murder are coming and the dancers still come out and perform Anything Goes.
Of course they should.
And then he gets there are some cool moments like rolling behind the gong. That's cool.
When he pulls the heart out.
The heart. But still, even that is
The
like
bridge scene when he rolls the rock on top of the bridge. He
and
saves it.
half round is fun and cute. But
Shorty?
Shorty, what I call him half
I
round.
don't know why you call it half round. It's Shorty.
But that's a different movie. Anyway, Shorty, it was cute, especially given.
Crazy Dr. Jones.
Hold on to your potatoes. All right, but it's a terrible movie.
You're wrong.
Raiders and Lost Ark, amazing movies
And one of the best Disneyland rides.
that has now been shut down.
It's not shut down.
Oh yeah,
Really?
yeah, it's shut down.
Last time I was there,
We're retooling it.
we probably should retool it.
Well, yeah, because the ride is older
It's 20 years old.
than the last movie.
And it's hard to imagine an action star at 80, but I'm excited to see what Harrison Ford can do.
Now, the reports are, of those who have seen it, that they've gone back to what made Indiana Jones good, and that didn't include aliens.
Because there were aliens in the 4th one. That got a little weird.
It was
when
awful.
You got into the alien part of it. Yeah,
It
I
was
agree with
terrible. And he survived a nuclear bomb
that. In a house through it being in a fridge.
in a fridge.
Well, it was iron.
Ugh,
It was an old
it's
cast.
lead.
It was an old lead fridge. So
It still wouldn't work. But, and regardless of whether it works or not, that's not what movies are. It's a movie.
Maybe it did work.
But it was just the best part of the movie, and it was terrible.
And it's still, after you got out of the fridge, you'd still be in a radioactive environment that would probably make you sick. Just knowing basic
So
science.
maybe he really did die, and the aliens was all just the afterlife.
Oh, now you're
Da,
gonna
da,
be-
da, da,
Dun,
da,
dun,
da.
dun,
I will
dun,
be
dun,
seeing
dun,
this
dun,
when it's
dun,
available to
dun,
see in my
dun,
bed.
dun. That's
On
not.
my phone.
You're not going to the theater.
Nah. This
What
is one you'd want to see in the theater if you're
What if
into
it's
it.
on Apple TV only?
Then I will see it when the communists rule. I'll see it, which is pretty close to now, given how many Apple fans there are out there.
Then
Yeah,
there-
Apple.
We're gonna get you a $3,500 VR set for
Which
Christmas.
Samsung has had for 11 years, or half the price. All right,
All right, let's wrap it.
all right. But Jeff's excited. I'm skeptical.
I think
Which
it's gonna be
which
good.
is general for both
I
of our
think it's gonna
personalities.
be awesome.
Yeah.
Austin doesn't like good movies.
For Nate Lindquist, Austin Horton, and Jeff Miller. See you at episode 52, Utah by 5.
Trust me.